Okay, we are in Yaakov. Please subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell in order that you can know whenever class is given. And make sure you like everyone so that way it goes up in the rankings, and you'll be sure to keep it on your opening screen of your YouTube account. Thank you. Okay, everybody's with me?
Yeah. Are you well?
Yeah, this messing with my tissue.
What about this here?
What?
That's not his.
Oh, that's not mine.
That was
That's just part of the. That's just part of what we have on the table. Okay,
many,
so it says
many services.
right.
I like the yarmulke. It's marvelous.
Okay, so it says we're continuing the story of why David didn't sin, and the assumption is when you read the story, it seems he did sin either with adultery, with Bathsheba, or killing Uriah. So we're going to show that the Gemara is explaining why it's just not true. As we know, it's just fake news, okay? So that's what happens, fine. Et Uriah hachiti hikiti becharev. Now the prophet particularizes the evil that David did. He says, you struck Uriah the Hittite with the sword. And that is Uriah, again, he's explaining Uriah's Bathsheba's husband was called the Hittite because he was a Hittite convert, or because he lived with the Hittites. Oh, we did that. Okay, fine. So just let's repeat it. He should have you should have judged Uriah with the Sanhedrin for his act of rebellion against you. And what was his act of rebellion? That he didn't listen to David to go back to his wife, but rather he said, how can I go because my general is in the field? But you did not so judge him. And so, again, we went through this last week, so I think I'll just leave it as it was, okay? Fine. I think we did that, right? Maybe we didn't do that one.
Which one?
Okay, number 20, I'm saying the note. Okay, I'll do it. Tosfot cites the Gemara Megillah, which seems to indicate that the king may summarily execute one who rebels against him and no trial is necessary. If so, why does our Gemara say that Uriah should have been tried by the Sanhedrin? Tosfot answered that the Sanhedrin is certainly required to hear witnesses and determine whether the accused actually rebelled. The Gemara Megillah means only that the court need not make a special effort to find exonerating evidence for him or redeliberate a guilty verdict overnight, which is required in other cases. Rambam apparently rules, however, that a Jewish king has a unilateral right to execute anyone who rebels against him. If so, why did Natan, the prophet, remonstrate that Uriah should have been judged by the Sanhedrin? So the Yaakov explains that in this particular case, David should certainly have had the Sanhedrin determine Uriah's guilt, so no one would unjustly suspect David of having Uriah killed in order to marry his wife. Okay. Fine. We did that. So, and then it continues, Natan further states, you took his wife to you to be a wife. This seems to charge David with adultery, but Natan actually meant, you may legally take her in marriage. So it doesn't, it's going the other way. Fine. Now the Gemara explains why David's relationship with Bathsheba was unadulterous. Here we go. This is new. The Amar of Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar of Yonatan, Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, son of the name of Rav Yonatan, Kol Ayutz Melechet Lemilchemet Be David Kotev Get Kritu Leishta. Whoever goes out to fight a war in the house of David writes a bill of divorce for his wife. How do you know that? Shneamar v'edaseret charitze hechalav ha'ela tavid l'sar ha'elef v'edachech hatifkot shalom v'edarabatam tikach. Oh. And the noise begins. And Yishai said to his son David, and bring these 10 cheeses to the captain of the 1,000 and look into your brother's well-being and engage and ask in their safety. So the Gemara says, my arubatam, what is meant by their safety? Tan Tanei Rav Yosef Devar Ha'aravim Beino Lebeina. Rav Yosef teaches that marriage refers to matters that are intermingled, commingled between him and her. So that verse is telling us that they had to give divorces to their wives. And so he says, in 22, okay, this is going to disagree with what I said last week. He's arguing with me too. This was a conditional divorce, which took effect retroactively if the husband died in battle. This is divorce from now if I die. Okay? There's a whole way to say it. Sometimes the departing soldier was too busy to give a bill of divorce and would later send to his wife from the battlefield. So he could have given her a divorce with the understanding of, if I come back, no problem, we'll get remarried. Or he could send her from the field, saying, oh, I was too busy, sorry, I forgot to send you the bill of divorce. Here you go, if I die, then consider this my divorce. Tosfot takes issue with Rashi's interpretation for the following reason. Even if Uriah did give Bathsheba a conditional divorce when David first cohabited with her, Uriah was still alive. According to one Tana, the recipient of a conditional divorce is considered a married woman in every respect until the condition is fulfilled. Hence, David's liaison with Bathsheba should be considered completely adulterous. So how can our Gemara state that David did not sin? Tosfot therefore cite Rabbeinu Tam, who maintains that a soldier's divorce was unconditional.
And we had this conversation.
Yeah, but not this way. Did it on the outside, but he's going through the whole thing, and hence, actually, this was the argument we were having last week.
Yeah. That's
this
right. If these things are conditional.
Right. So it's an argument. There's an argument. So it's according to Rabbeinu Tam, he says divorce was unconditional. Hence, Bathsheba was completely divorced woman when David had relations with her. According to this interpretation, the soldier would divorce his wife in secret so that no one would try to marry her while he was away. But if everybody knows it, it's not secret anymore. Okay. Let me just finish. And then you can ask. If he returned alive from the war, he could remarry her. Rashi, however, rejects the view that according to Rabbi Yehuda, the recipient of the conditional divorce is ever considered a married woman in every respect. On the contrary, Rashi holds that according to all Tanaim, once the husband dies, the woman is considered to have been a completely divorced woman from the moment she received the document. So that would be an interesting thing, okay? Reuven gives, or Uriah gives Bathsheba the divorce conditionally. If I don't return, then you're divorced. Then you were divorced, okay? From this moment on. Notice from the day he gave it to her on. It says April, whatever. Today is April 9th, 2019. And he says, okay, honey, here's your divorce. But is conditional upon the fact I don't return from the armed forces when my tour is over. Okay? So if he dies or something else in the tour of duty, so then she was divorced as of April 9th, 2019, not April 9th, 2022. Okay, so it goes backwards, retroactive. So that would mean that once he died, according to that, David never had adultery worth to commit adultery because she was divorced.
Well, retroactive is another word for conditional.
Okay.
The instant it's accepted, it's done.
Right. So they're saying, so there's two sides. One is saying 100% unconditional. You had to do it, you did it unconditionally. The other opinion is saying, no.
And at the time it was made or enacted.
Which one?
This divorce.
Again, there's two sides to the story. One side would say, once you give the divorce, it has to go into effect at that moment. It's not conditional. I'm giving you the divorce with the understanding, the implicit understanding that should I come back from the war, we'll get remarried. I'm not leaving you, honey. But I want to make it safe.
The only thing that should be conditional is the remarriage, not the divorce.
No. You can argue what you want, but what I'm telling you is what it was, what the argument is. Okay? So the argument is either the get was conditional or it's not. If it's not conditional, it goes into effect today. Okay? As whatever you give the divorce, it's effective.
So are you going to say how this was resolved? Does it say how?
No, there's an argument. It's an argument back and forth. It's just an argument as to what the divorce was. Was it conditional? Was it non-conditional? The way they would solve it is, once Uriah died in the battlefield, that get that he gave his wife went into full effect as of the day he gave her the divorce, which means that David did not commit adultery.
All right, now I got another question.
You understand? You understand that part?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah, but
important.
there's another part we haven't talked about this week or last week.
Okay.
David was the leader of either 10,000s or thousands of thousands.
No, he was the leader of. He was a king already. He was a king.
Wouldn't he also have submitted a get for his own wife?
A man can have multiple wives. According to the Torah, a man can have multiple wives. So you don't have to give a get to anybody. If I can have multiple wives at the same time, I don't need to give a get.
But that's this whole conversation.
The whole conversation is the guy is going. Oh, I thought I explained that. Okay. If a guy goes into war.
Yeah. When? Not if.
Stop. Wait. Let's go back. Forget war. If Reuven marries Rivka. Okay, Reuven married Rivka. They had a wonderful wedding. Everybody came. It was tremendous. Okay. Reuven went on a trip. He went on a business trip. And lo and behold, Reuven doesn't come back. Rivka cannot get remarried until she knows that Reuven's dead.
Yeah, well, I like the idea of building.
Wait. Finish what I'm saying. I mean, hear what I'm saying. She cannot get. She's considered a chained woman.
Yeah, I know. By when? Till when?
Till the end of time. If she cannot determine, there is no statute of limitations here. If she cannot determine without doubt that the husband is not coming back, he is dead.
Because we know the date it was made. We don't know by when he has.
You know, stop. You went into divorce. I didn't go to divorce yet. I said Reuven married Rivka. They had a wonderful marriage, and he went on a trip. There's no divorce here. He went on a trip, and something happened. He didn't return. She is waiting day after day after day. Nothing happened. 10 years later, nothing happened. No word from Reuven. She cannot get remarried. She's a Naguna. Okay? She's a Naguna. That's number one. She has to get proof from two people that they saw he was dead. At that point, she can get remarried. But until then, no. Now let's go a little further. Reuven married Rivka. Second case. Not the same case. Reuven married Rivka. Okay? Reuven, and they have no children. Reuven has a brother, though. But
Was the second wedding as nice as the first?
Absolutely. Reuven's brother is not a nice guy. And Rivka does not want to marry Reuven's brother under any circumstances. And Reuven is quite sick right now. But they have no children. So Reuven says to his wife, honey, I love you dearly. I'm going to divorce you on condition. I'll give you this get on condition. If I survive, so then this was never a get. If, on the other hand, I die, this get will take place right now. And therefore, I'll save you from having to marry my brother, which would have been a Levirate marriage. Thank you. I had to think of what we call the Levirate marriage, where if there's no children, the wife of the deceased is supposed to be married by one of the brothers of the deceased, so they would have a child that would take over for the deceased brother. That's the Levirate marriage. Yibum, what we call Yibum. Fine. You want to avoid that issue, so you give her a get on condition that if I don't make this, he's going into whatever operation. If I don't make this, you're divorced as of this moment, and that's it. And now you don't have to worry about my brother, which you don't want to marry anyway. Wait. What?
For a long time.
Yeah, no, he has to be dead. He has to be dead. If you're in a
he's also
coma.
giving up by that. If he did
Yeah, I mean, he could say if there's a coma, he could say divorce too. He could say, but she's not in danger to. But he could say that if I go into a coma, all these things. If I don't come out by the end of this, you're divorced as of today.
Okay, that relieves. Then he gives up the opportunity to have a child to get his inheritance. And in other words, by the brother.
Well, the brother couldn't marry her at all. The brother couldn't marry her unless he dies.
No, okay, with no divorce, and he died, and then then the brother would provide a child to the wife. that would carry on, like I said, the dead husband's name,
Whatever.
not the brother's name. Is that
It's not a name per se, but the land ownership. It was for land. It was really for land ownership. His part of the land.
Then,
Is this under a system where the firstborn gets everything like in England used to be?
Firstborn gets double portion.
But not everything.
No.
In England, it was
No,
everything.
not every. No.
All right.
Okay. Now that was number 2. Now number 3 would be again. Now those are the reasons I want divorce. 1, I don't want to leave my wife as naguna, as a chained woman. I want Reuven wants Rivka to be able to, if he doesn't come back or doesn't recover or whatever, to be able to marry somebody as of that day. Okay, and the reason as of that day, that's one thing. And then he also doesn't want her to run into Yibum, the problem of Yibum. Okay, for the Levirate marriage. So for those 2 reasons, you would give a conditional divorce. Again, the conditional divorce is, by the way, another one, here's one of the famous cases. I give you a divorce on condition that it will come into action if I don't take effect, thank you. It'll take effect if I don't return in 30 days.
Oh, good. I like the idea.
30 days. 30 days. Wait. So 30 days. I have to come back here. Let's say on the 30th day, he's across the river.
There you go.
But he's not on this side of the river?
We know he's across the
Yes,
river.
we see him.
Yes.
He's
As
waving.
long as you
Don't do it. I'm here. I'm here.
Right, so it's
And the answer is divorced.
Ah.
You didn't make it.
ah,
Okay? Divorced. You lost. You didn't make it back to what you said is divorced. Now you have to...
If they loved each other, they would have found a way.
You can get remarried. Who cares? You give me a love and all this mishigas. It's a business deal. It's a business deal in the end. So you have to make it back by that time. If I don't, then it's divorce. By the way, let's look at a contract for a second. Okay? A simple contract. Forget love. Forget it, because people get involved in love. I'm not interested.
They did the same thing
Listen,
in
Steve,
80 days.
Steve,
Did
listen.
they cross an international
Listen.
date line because they might have an
You go into a business, okay? And the business lets you go. And they give you a severance package, right? It's all money in the end. It's all severance, okay? Then what happens is they realize, wait. We can use you again. We'll bring you back in. Same deal. The answer is no. Now it's renegotiation again. Now we have to renegotiate a brand new deal. So you get the same thing. The person gets a severance, and let's go for a new deal. But you just took a year's whatever. Tough luck. It's your deal. It's not my problem. Okay, that's what the woman is saying. You owe me a ketubah. You owe me a year's salary. That's what ketubah basically comes down to. A year's salary. You owe me a year's marriage salary. You want to get remarried? You have to give me that plus the new salary. So I made money on the deal. Now, you're going to say love, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm sure people don't really do that. But that would be the effect. I get my money, and now we can renegotiate. We have another ketubah. We have another contract. Yeah. That's all it is. Now, like I said, does that really happen? Obviously not. He was trying to save his wife, but the point is that once he made that situation, that provides if I don't come back in 30 days, 60 days, a year or 2 years or 10 years, whatever the time was going to be, once that time of it happens, no matter where he is, right, if he's not back where he says he's going to be, divorced. You want to get remarried? Gesundheit, no problem. But until then, you're divorced. And she can go with whoever she wants. So that's another part what they were saying. That some people said they got divorced secretly. Now again, I don't know why it's secret. If everybody's doing it, it's not a secret.
Wasn't there a county recorder? Those things are registered.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Absolutely not. I give you a get. If the woman gets a get, she has to keep it. Like a marriage document, she has to keep it. It's her right to collect. You're getting confused. You're making it too. You're getting it too far. If I make an agreement with you, I don't have to go to a county office. I make a contract with you. It's a contract. When I made a contract with the Midwest Torah Center, it wasn't put into the county office. It's between me and the Torah Center, period. When you go to work, it's between you and the owner. It's not part of the county. It's just, that's it. It's only that we today in America, United States of America, want to make money off of your stuff. So we tax the heck out of you.
Marriage license.
Marriage license, this license, that license. We just tax you. So we want to be registered because chas v'shalom we would lose $1. That's all we care about. Money.
But it needs to be a contract under someone's legal code, and those are registered.
The Torah's legal code. It's the Torah's legal code. That's what you have to do.
Public record.
Public record is nothing. What does it mean, public record? You're getting stuck in I mean, I really want to go on the rabbit hole here, but public record has nothing to do with here. It has to do with I have a contract. Either I do or I don't. Either I can go out with somebody and start a new business venture, or I cannot. That's all it is. Let's stick to what marriage really is: a business contract. If it was just for love, we wouldn't have a contract. We wouldn't need a contract.
Yeah, but we're getting a little out of this. Was a military situation.
This was a edict that David had made so that the women would not be stuck as an aguna. As an aguna.
In the military, did he himself submit one of these gets to his own wife?
He never went to the military. He was a king. He stayed at home.
He wasn't David.
He would stay at home at the end. At the end, when he went, he would give his wives a get. Again, what does it matter? I'll give you a get, I'll come back to you. No problem. You can remarried.
But he wasn't king yet. He was still...
No, he was. At this point, he was king. At this point, he was king. Absolutely.
He should have been single as well at that. I mean...
no, he's king. He has, at this point, he had
how many wives?
6 wives already. He had 6 wives. But I think he's had 6 or 7. Whatever. He had a couple of wives.
And so he
But it wouldn't matter if he was king or not. Anybody could marry. The Torah allows us to have multiple wives. That's the point. We don't do it today, but the Torah allows a person to have multiple wives. You're asking on something I cannot answer.
Where is that?
It's in the Torah. It's in the Torah. And I mean that he can have more than one wife. It doesn't say you can have more than one wife. It's just implied. It doesn't say clearly. It's not going to.
They do have, so that's obvious that you can have.
It says. I mean, the answer is it doesn't say explicitly. So I'm not going to tell you. It says in a verse. It's just like it's a lot of things that are implicit in the verse and not explicit, and that's just part of the codes. Okay. So now let's continue on. And okay. So King Shaul was waging war against the Philistines. David's brothers, okay, that's the verse. David's brothers were in the front. Yishai sent David to visit them, bring a first-hand report back, and then the word that we're all dealing with is arubotam, derives from the word arav, to commingle. Erev, by the way, erev. That's why we call erev night, twilight. What you would call twilight. Yeah. Okay. What we would call twilight. Okay. Okay. Thus, arubatam can also connote their betrothals, since marriage creates a commingling between a man and a woman. Further, the word for ascertain, tikain, actually means to tikach, means to take. Thus, arubatam tikach is interpreted may or take back or annul the betrothals by bringing back bills of divorce from their brothers for their wives. And David learned from his father Yishai to institute this practice as a custom for all those who went forth to fight his wars. So again, this was David's decree to the army when he became king, that when you go to the army, when you're going to war, give a divorce, conditional or otherwise, to your wife with the understanding that I can always remarry you. Again, the only ones that could not do that would be Kohanim, but Kohanim don't go into battle anyway. So that would be why it wasn't even a problem for Kohanim. Okay. So Rebbe continues to expound the aforementioned rebuke by Natan in David's favor. Va'oto harakt becherab b'nei Ammon. And Natan, the prophet, told David, and you have slain Uriah with the sword of the Ammonites. Which, and this point is this phrase is superfluous. superfluous. Since the beginning of the verse states, you struck Uriah the Hittite with a sword, it was for that reason that Rebbe expounded it. So whenever we have an extra word, we can look at it. So it says, Ma chera b'nei Ammon iyataneh. Nashalav, just as you, David, are not punished for the killings wrought by the sword of the Ammonites, af Uriah Chiti iyataneh nashalav. So you're also not going to be punished for the killing of Uriah the Hittite. Okay? Interesting way to look at that. My time, what's the reason that David was not punished for the killing of Uriah? So, Mori b'malchut. Okay, so by the way, this is an important question. Okay, you didn't kill him. Fine. You didn't shoot the gun. Shkoyach. You hired somebody to shoot the gun. Why aren't you guilty? You should be guilty too. Right? Just because you didn't do it, who cares? You're still the murderer. That was a defense of Charles Manson. I never killed anybody. He didn't. Watch the movie about him. They made movies about this guy. He convinced people to kill. But he didn't do it. Chasham, he would do it. He was a tzaddik. He told you to put the knife in him and watch him move. That's not him. Okay. Sick guy. Okay, but anyway. The answer, the Gemara answers, Mored b'malchut have. Uriah was considered a rebel against the monarchy. To Amar alei, and this is what I said from the very beginning, V'adini Yoav, v'avdei Adoni al pnei asadeh chonim. When David summoned him from the war and told him to return to his wife, Uriah said to the king, and my master Yoav and his servants and the servants of my master King David are encamped in the open field, shall I then come to my house to eat and drink and lie with my wife? By your life and the life of your soul, I cannot do so. I shall not do such a thing. And he said, it was not profit for Uriah to refer to Yoav as my master in front of David, thus equating Yoav with King David, whom he also called my master. This constitutes a rebellion against the monarchy and subjected Uriah to the death penalty. The above is also the interpretation of Tosfot and Yoma. However, Tosfot here question whether this action is sufficient to be termed a rebellion, since Uriah did not call Yoav king, nor did he intend to accept Yoav as such. Therefore, Tosfot maintain that Uriah's rebellious sentiments were expressed in the second part of the verse, where he refuses to obey King David's command to go home to his wife. King David said, go home, and he said, no. That's rebellion. To say that my master, Yoav, is sitting there, and we're both serving the king, to say that is rebellious is ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, that's what Tosfot wants to argue against Tosfot. Yeah. It's a school. Tosfot is a school. It's not just one person arguing with himself. There's a whole school of thought here. So one part of the school said, no, it's because of you called Uriah your master in front of the king, equating him. But clearly that's not true because, I shouldn't say clearly, but it doesn't seem to be true because it says, V'adini Yoav, v'avdei Adoni, the servants, my master Yoav, who was the servant of my master, referring to David. So it seems that he's not equating them. But because the end, when he says, by your life I can't do this, I can't go home, sorry, stuck. He doesn't know why he wants him to go home. Go home to your wife, enjoy yourself. I don't know.
It'd be like somebody talking to the President of the United States, and the President said, well, why didn't you do this? It's because my general told me not to, or whatever.
Right.
My general, but you're the President, you're higher than the general.
Correct. If the President tells you to go home, you go home. You don't start dancing around. Okay? So that is what Tosfot here is saying. That he should have listened, he should have gone home. He didn't go home. So that was the problem. Okay, fine.
In ancient times, was it considered dereliction of duty to refuse an order from your commander during war?
Probably.
Like during a battle, you cannot refuse an order.
Right.
It's different than after the battle or before the battle.
Right. So, but what would that do? In other words, you're going to listen to your general because you trust him.
If there are different rules during a time of war, like the get, and then him not returning to his wife when he's
No. There's two things. He was already in David's. He was no longer on the front.
Okay.
He was in David's castle, if you will, or wherever David was being king. And he was back in Jerusalem. He was not on the battlefield at all. And because David had called him back. So he was where he should be. Now when David says to him, go back to your house, it's not a matter of listening to Yoav. Yoav is on the field. It has nothing to do with nothing to do with David. Your commander-in-chief told you to do something and you didn't do it. That's really what it is. So, but if David was on the field, if Uri is on the field and Yoav tells him, go attack, so he has to attack. And which is why he goes into a certain death. Because he tells him go and make sure he dies. So again, but why was he allowed to do that? Because he was Morid b'Malchut. He was rebelling against the king. Otherwise, he would not have the right. So you have two things. One, the rabbis say that why is David blamed for all this? Because he should have gone through the Sanhedrin, and instead of taking it upon himself, fine, he didn't do that. The second thing is, why could he do it at all? Because Uriah was rebellious against the king. Once you're rebellious against the king, that is an automatic way to say kill him. Why wouldn't he just, by the way, again, why not just say, okay, so kill him now? Obviously, the people would have said, because he wanted his wife. That's really what would happen. So you can't say any of those. That's why he has to go through all this rigmarole. Yeah.
What was that conversation? I forget if it was our Tuesday class or a Thursday class. The words "at his level," at his level. Where did we use those words before?
We could have used them in this class.
Yeah, a week ago.
Yeah.
Rather than at his level. What happens to should have known better?
Yeah.
Sort of, whatever the legalities are. Sort of, he had 6 wives, and that wasn't enough. He needed someone else's.
You're answering the question. You're asking a question of why he's decided he needs Bathsheba.
No.
Okay, that question is answered by the Talmud later, or in a different place. I forget where it's answered already.
Yeah, but I'm asking now.
I'm answering you now, but I'm just saying that is answered. That was asked many times before. So this is the answer. David, according to the Gemara, according to the Talmud, so David said to the Rebbeinu Shalom, to God, he said, Master of the universe, we say every day in Shemona Esrei, in the Amidah, Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, with the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. I wanted to say Elokei David. I've written a book of Psalms. I've done a lot of things. I think I deserve the right to have Elokei David. Okay, fine. Hashem says to him, David, Tzaddik, you're a nice guy, really. But let's understand something. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov withstood the tests that I gave them. You're not up to the challenge. So David says, I am. Give me anything you want to give. I'll pass the test. Lo and behold, he gives him Bathsheba. He flunked the test. That's the answer.
What was the test? To avoid temptation?
Yeah, to avoid temptation, to use your brains. To use your brains. And because he asked Hashem for the test, Hashem takes away all divine guidance at that point and leaves it to your animal instincts. Well, she's a beautiful girl, just went to the mikvah, she's divorced, and all the stuff that goes with it, why not? I checked everything out, the lineage is good. I've done all my research. Okay? Once you challenge, what the Gemara's point is, by the way, is once you challenge God, be wary. By the way, it didn't happen that he made that statement and then, lo and behold, Bathsheba showed up. It was, he made that statement and 5, 10, 15 years later, whatever it's going to be, suddenly this comes into being. Or it could have been 2 years, whatever. It doesn't happen right away, so I know it's a test. Okay? That's not a test. The test has to be when I don't know it's a test. I don't know I'm being challenged.
Did David have contracts with each of these 6 wives?
Did he have a ketubah? Yes. Yes, that's the contract, yes. He would, upon divorce, he would have to give them a certain amount of money. Again, that's all the divorce says. When you have a ketubah, that marriage document that every married person has, it's really the wife who has it, is something to hold over the husband to say, if you divorce me, this is my rights. Which was unheard of in the secular world at that point. There was no right to women. There were no obligations to the man, to the woman. If he wanted to divorce you, he said, "Get out of my house."
Yeah.
That would be it.
They were nothing, right?
They were nothing. They were worthless. They were chattel. Goodbye. You're like a cow. Goodbye. Okay. But here, you want to get rid of me? It's going to cost you money, you Michiganer.
Yes.
It's going to cost you a year's salary. Okay. And more, by the way.
Were those contracts for wives 2 through 6 the same word
Yes.
for word?
Yeah.
as the contract
Well,
for wife?
I assume that if they were virgins, yes. They had to be virgins. If they were not virgins, then no.
And the divorces could be one-on-one, or it doesn't. They don't have.
No,
to be
divorce has to be one-on-one.
Yeah, I know, but they don't have to be. They don't have to occur in the order in which they were.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I can marry my first, second, third wife, marry my fourth, get rid of her, try the
Legally,
fifth.
they're all equal.
Absolutely, 100% all equal. There's no time limit. No. You get married. You get married. That's it. What happens, of course, what you're dealing with is the kids. The kids would have the problems. That's when you can get into legal problems as to who owns what. So, but again, if I have a contract, it's all laid out. It's all laid. That's the point of the contract. Everything's laid out. That's what I'm saying. Once you have a contracts are gold. We came up with this contract. Contracts are gold, because when you have without a contract, you can do anything. You, the man with the upper hand, can do anything to the person on the lower part of that scale. You can say, "I'm letting you go." Well, on what grounds? There are no grounds. I don't need grounds. Bye bye.
It gives you, with the contract, you have what's called standing.
You have it's gold. It's gold in your hand. Okay, so now you have to deal with that contract. Otherwise, it's legal responsibilities. So that's why divorce was not something that we were really pushing for years, thousands of years. It's only recently, since 1975, that divorce has become the in thing. And 75 was still an embarrassment. Maybe 95. 95, everybody's getting divorced. It was like the in thing to do. I don't know why. It was like you had an argument. You cooked. You burned the food. Oh, you have to get a divorce. What? Are you crazy? That's money. I mean, really, it's money. You're losing money. No matter what you do today, you're losing money. Okay, and so the famous vort, what we say to every married couple, is the way you spell man is Aleph Yud Shin. The way you spell woman is Aleph Shin Yud. The non-common letters are the Yud and the Hey. Yud and the Hey together mean God. If you take the common letters away, if you take the non-common letters away, the only letters you have left is Aleph Shin. Aleph Shin means fire. With God, as long as you keep God in the marriage, you're good. The Yud and the Hey. Once you take the Yud and the Hey away, all you have left is fire. You're going to burn each other. That's it. When you have divorce, what happens? Oh, it's miserable. Ask any divorce lawyer. That's why they make so much money. Because they have to put up with the fire. Each one wants to outdo the other guy. But when you're in love, so wonderful, blah, blah, blah. I could never see this. Why do you think that we want them to sign prenups already? Sign a prenup. Let's go. No, I would never divorce. Yeah, okay, good. If you never divorce, put it in your safe and leave me alone. But sign a prenup.
Put it in writing.
Put it in writing. Everything should be in writing. Nothing should be left to the imagination. That way, when it's done, it's done. There's no need for divorce. There's no need for lawyers afterwards. Let's do it when you're still in love. Okay? And that's how you do it. You do it when everything's good. That's why when you write a contract, even to this very day, when you write a contract, what do you put in the contract? Terms of termination. You always put that in. Otherwise, you've done nothing. I'll give you this and this and this and this. Great. What happens when you don't like me anymore? And that happens. What happens? So I want these terms walking away. Okay, we'll negotiate it while we're still in the dating game, while we still love each other. That's when you negotiate everything, because then you'll give what's proper. But once you don't do that, once there's only fire left, you're willing to burn each other. You don't care.
It's the same thing if two people open a business together. They need to have a contract. Say what happens if
The
One guy's
solution.
unhappy and they
Correct.
won't pull out. You got to have the conditions written
Correct.
down.
You do it while you love each other. You don't do it while you hate each other. When you hate each other, all that ends up is the divorce lawyers get, or any lawyer will get rich on that because they are going for the God. They go. How can you say that? When it's written out, it's done. That's the point. So yes, David had to give everybody a ketubah. The only ones who don't get a ketubah, by the way, are from Solomon. He has 700 concubines. They do not have ketubot. They have no rights. He doesn't like him. Have a good day. That's it. You're done. And by the way, they can never get remarried either because they were with the king. So it would be a disgrace to the kingdom, which was a problem for those who came to the Shabbaton, the last Shabbaton we had. The last Shabbaton? Yeah. With Rabbi Burnham, where he was discussing how the evilness of Achashverosh, where he would have relations with all these girls, virgins, and it was one night, that's it, and from that point on, they could never get married again.
But there was no contract.
They were concubines.
Yeah.
So when you're with a king, you can never go down a level. You become the forbidden. That's what it was. I don't ask you why, but that's how it was.
Did they get it up there? They were kept in a harem or something?
Yeah, and they had no way out, so they were prisoners.
On the premises, on the property.
I wasn't there. I can't help you with that.
No, I didn't.
I don't know how big the castle was, but
Do you realize, for your audience, if Jeff Bezos had come to your class, he could have saved himself $30 billion, and it's not over yet because they're still fighting over the stock.
he wouldn't have saved it. I would have told him give it to the Midwest Torah Center. Jeff, if you're out there, write the check out. Don't worry.
That would have been a good deal for him.
Yeah, no. If there would have been that's what you're supposed to do. You do it when you love each other. But can you imagine right now to the contract? If I commit adultery on you, dear, blah blah, it's not going to work. Then nobody's going to let that fly, But it would be okay. We'll have to stop here.
This whole thing today comes under that category. Ignorance of the law has no recourse.
Right.
You have